You've been lied to. Scaling to $10,000 a month doesn't require you to run ads. It doesn't require a fancy funnel, and it definitely doesn't require you to wait for one piece of content to go viral. What it does require for you to do is to create a solid foundation to not only bring in predictable income, but sustainable income. Most business owners are beginning their business with a $10,000 goal per month, and they believe that if they grow their audience, the money will follow. If they work harder, they are going to get the results they want. And if they have 10 offers, they are going to make more money. This isn't the case whatsoever. The pattern that I have seen time and time again with the brand founders, service-based and product-based business owners that I have worked with is that they believe that volume is more important than vision. They post more, they work more, they burn out a whole lot faster. And then they wonder why they're working so hard and they're not achieving the goals that they really want to achieve. In this video, I am going to teach you the 4 pillars to make $10,000 months simple, sustainable, and scalable. I'm going to teach you how to create visibility that actually converts, how to have influence that moves followers into buyers. What does it mean to actually have a sales ecosystem that works in your sleep? And probably the most important, the $10,000 self concept that makes all of these things stick. Before we get into this video, hello, I am Jess Pinili. I help brand founders and business owners create businesses that are not only profitable, but feel good to run. And if you're new here, welcome. On this channel, I look at business through 2 different lenses. The first lens is strategic, how to actually build a business that converts, how to create content that turns into cash, and how to actually sustain a business ecosystem. And lens number 2 is psychological, how to actually rewire your subconscious identity to hold and sustain the success that you achieve. Because strategy without identity work is like building a mansion on sand. So if you're tired of consuming fluffy advice that just tells you to manifest harder or to post more content, hit the subscribe button because you are in the right place. And if you keep coming back for more and you're not yet subscribed, hit that subscribe button. It really helps my channel because I can bring you more videos just like this. And everything that I'm teaching you today is exactly the work that we do inside of Woman Mastery HQ membership. It's a space that I have created for founders, service providers, online educators to scale their business without getting stuck in the burnout cycle. I created this membership because it's the only place that not only combines CEO level strategy, but also subconscious reprogramming and using them simultaneously to get the results you desire. All of the details about Woman Mastery HQ is in the first link in the description box. Let's get into the first part, which is visibility. I start with visibility because this is actually where most business owners break. Visibility, in very simple terms, is all about your content game and your content flow. Let me be a little bit brutal right now. You could post 50 times this month or 500 times this month and not make a single sale. The reason that I see this happens with business owners and brand founders is simply because when you are posting content, if people don't understand the problem that you solve, the transformation, and exactly why it matters, it doesn't matter how much times you post. If you aren't articulating through your content those things, no one is going to pay you any money. When it comes to creating content, the simple rule that I want you to remember is if someone consumes a piece of your content, can they immediately answer the question, how does she, he, whoever help me? Because if someone can't consume a piece of your content related to your business and understands how you help them, you don't have a business, you have a hobby making content. I start with the visibility foundation with all of my clients because I think it's very important to understand the role that content plays for your business. But the biggest reframe is actually shifting away from thinking visibility equals volume. For your business, we want to reframe that into visibility equals clarity, positioning, and authority. So if you were my client, let's talk about what this would look like in practice. The first one is definitely stop chasing trends. Trends are just dopamine hits for your ego. I see a lot of business owners get on board certain trends and it makes absolutely no sense why it is part of their content flow. If someone is watching you for 30 days just recreating and taking part in trends on social media and still has no idea what problem you solve, again, you are just wasting your time getting a dopamine hit. Social media has fed into our brains that we should jump onto trends so we go viral, because virality apparently means sales, and that's not necessarily true. Is the trend that you were jumping on even directly correlated to what you were selling, to the problem that you solve? Is it even attracting your ideal client if you were to go viral? For most business owners who jump on trends, the answer to all of that is no. I'm not saying do not use trends, but what I am saying, if you are going to utilize and leverage a trend, make sure that it is clearly articulating the transformation that you are providing to your ideal client. The second shift when it comes to content is shifting away from vanity metrics and instead understanding buyer psychology. Likes do not pay your bills, conversions do. Your content at the end of the day needs to answer one question for your ideal client. The question being, does this person understand me and can they help me? If the answer is no, they are going to keep scrolling and they're not going to give you a second thought. A tip here that I'll give you is go and audit your audience and understand the buyer types that are in your audience. For example, on my own Instagram, I have more relationship-based buyers. They buy according to how my services are going to directly impact their life, their relationships, and the trust that they have. Whereas over on TikTok, my buyers are more analytical and logical. They need to know the facts. They need to know the return on investment. But by all means, this doesn't mean that both platforms don't infuse other buyer types, of course. But it's really important to understand what buyer type is predominantly present on your social media platform that you are using. That way, when you create content, you can appeal to that buyer type. And the last shift that I'm going to share with you when it comes to creating content that converts into cash is actually understanding your content pillars. This brings us back to basics of Business 101, but understanding exactly how you are funneling each piece of content and how that makes up your entire business is important. To break it down super simply, 4 pillars that I would integrate with any client would be educational and influential. So you're not only educating and teaching, you are actually influencing with case studies, lessons, mistakes. Second one is storytelling. So you are relating to your audience and bringing them in on your journey as a way to relate to you, but also funneling in why your services relate to that story. Don't just tell random stories on your social media for the sake of it. It needs to be able to connect straight to your offer suite, your ideal client, and the transformation that you are providing. The next piece of content is connection content. How are you connecting with your views on the world, your opinions, what you actually value? This is going to filter out a lot of people that actually aren't your ideal client. And then the last pillar that I would consider is perspective shifting content. As it suggests, this is where you shift the perspective of your ideal client. For example, maybe you're in the fitness industry and your methodology is that your clients can lose 10 kilos with only doing 3 workouts. But right now, your ideal client thinks that they not only need to do 10,000 steps a day, they need to clock 7 workouts, plus they need to dramatically decrease their calories. Perspective shifting would be teaching them exactly why your methodology is the solution to their problem. These pillars aren't just about content creation. It's about positioning you as the necessity, positioning you as the go-to, positioning you as the authority. So when someone has that problem, they will invest in you. Visibility is the art of saying the same thing 100 times until your ideal client can't imagine working with anyone else. Inside Woman Mastery HQ, we go deeper. We audit your content, we understand why it's converting, but also what is actually converting, and we build a framework for your content creation so it becomes a sales asset, not something that you just need to tick off a list. Bringing us over to the second pillar. So if visibility gets attention, influence is exactly what converts it. If you're showing up online, if you feel like you're consistent, if you feel like you're doing everything that I spoke about in the visibility pillar, but no one is buying anything, or you feel like it's a grind to make a sale, you need stronger influence. In simple terms, influence is messaging. It is the ability to create desire, shift perception, and build trust. It's exactly what moves your audience to, that's interesting, that sounds like me, I need this now. So the age-old question is, how do I build influence in a saturated market? If it's anything you take away from this section, it's speaking to the real problem, not the surface level problem. If we're rolling with the fitness example, a surface level messaging sentence would sound something like, you need a workout plan. But something that is actually hitting the subconscious desires and the subconscious drivers of your ideal client for this example would sound like you want to walk into any room and feel confident in the clothes that you are wearing and not feel like you need to hide away in the shadows because you're uncomfortable in your body. Do you see the difference there? The first will sell you tasks, the second sells you transformation. People are buying transformation. They are searching the internet for a solution to their problem. Speak to the real problem. Don't speak to the surface level. They don't want a workout plan, but they do want to walk into a room and not feel like they have to cover themselves because they're embarrassed about their body. You speak to them, you understand them, and then you move into, well, my solution is this workout plan. Most business owners lead with, I have a workout plan, it's going to solve all your problems. And that doesn't work because you need to name the fear that they're not going to admit. When you articulate the thought that your ideal client hasn't said out loud, maybe something that they're writing in their journal, maybe something that they are Googling at 2 a.m., they feel seen, they feel heard, they feel like they can trust you. When someone feels like they can trust you, they want to pay you money. And so it's going to take you a lot more than just pointing out surface level problems of what your ideal client is going through. They don't want to break a cycle. What I just said about understanding what they would journal, what they would Google at 2 a.m., what they're thinking in their mind without saying out loud is a gold mine. And if you're an established business owner and you've already worked with clients, they are quite literally telling you before you onboard them exactly what they desire. Stop guessing, stop going surface level, get to the root of their pains and their desires. And then the most important part when it comes to messaging, sell the identity, not the steps. People do not buy offers, they do not buy inclusions. What they do buy is an identity shift. If you're a business coach, you're not just selling a strategy call. What you're actually selling is a pathway for a woman to create a thriving business without second guessing every decision she's making. Humans buy emotionally and then they justify logically. Your job with your messaging is to paint the future version of your ideal client so vividly that they cannot unsee it. When you are able to bridge the gap using your content and your messaging to show your ideal client exactly what you are solving and the transformation after that problem is solved, that is where you create conversions. I actually go deeper into my free masterclass, Think Like a CEO, where I break down the psychology behind high converting messaging that moves your audience of viewers to buyers. The link to get instant access to that free masterclass is in the description below. But now let's talk about what most business owners actually avoid. Their numbers. It is really the piece that is going to make or break your income. When it gets to understanding your sales ecosystem, most businesses actually fail and fall short. I have worked with hundreds of business owners, and one thing that I can say for sure is that majority of these business owners, when they come to work with me, have a very, very chaotic back end. There are random offers that are just thrown together in the hopes of making more money. There's a lot of panic discounts when it comes to launching and when it comes to not hitting the revenue that they want to hit. The buyer journey doesn't make sense for what's happening. These are only a few things, but this isn't a business. That's a stress cycle. We want to create a sales ecosystem that is simple, profitable, and sustainable. My controversial opinion is a $10,000 a month business is boring. It's because it's predictable and it's simple, but most importantly, it's streamlined. So lean in to the boringness of having a $10,000 month. So what does a streamlined, boring $10,000 month looks like when it comes to a sales ecosystem? Number one, I need you to refine and dedicate your time to one core product. Stop trying to introduce 50 things in the hopes that you are going to make more money, because you cannot possibly give your time and your energy to all of these offers to make all of them sustainably profitable. I want you to do one thing really well, better than anyone else. Solve one problem better than anyone else in your industry. Stop selling 100 things at once and hoping that something is going to stick. Stick to one core offer instead. The next thing is to have clear pricing. If someone is jumping through hoops and loops to figure out your pricing or what it looks like for them, or to understand what it's going to come out on a monthly basis, it is going to be thrown in the too hard basket and you're going to miss the sale. No one wants to jump onto your sales page or your checkout page and have to figure out the cost of working with you. Make your pricing simple. Make it make sense. And then with those two things, I need you to have a nurture sequence. How are you actually nurturing the audience that you are building? Your job is to show people that it's safe to invest in you, that it's absolutely urgent, but most importantly, that it's obvious. This requires you to build trust through nurturing systems. What does that look like? Think about how you are nurturing on your emails, in your DMs, the conversations that you have when someone replies to your Instagram story. Do you have a system for this, or is it all random? Because I guarantee if it's random, people are going to feel that you are random and you're going to lose the sale because they do not trust you. I mentioned this earlier, but what's missing for most people is a buyer's journey. Instead, most business owners have random posts and random offers, just hoping that it makes sense and someone is going to buy from them. Let me break this down in the most simplest terms. A buyer journey is the process of you taking someone from "I've never heard of you" to "take my money." This is not luck. This is not virality. This is predictability. And that is exactly what you call a sales ecosystem. When you don't have a refined buyer's journey, when you're trying to market 100 different offers, when you're not nurturing your audience, what you will end up in is what I call the post and pray cycle. You post randomly on Instagram. You hope the algorithm loves you today. You get a few likes, maybe a comment, but no sale. Then you start downing yourself. You start downing your prices. You start tweaking your funnels. You start giving discounts. And then you keep telling yourself, maybe this isn't working. And that creates a spiral. This happens because you're relying on hope, not a system. The 4 ways that I would get you to break down your buyer journey look like this. Number 1, awareness. They find you and they realize that you get their problem. Number 2, they start to trust you because you've proven that you understand their pain. Number 3, consideration. They often see you and then they start to say to themselves, is this the solution to my problem? Is this the solution that I've been searching for? And then number 4, decision. They feel safe enough to invest, and there's no uncertainty on the return on investment. Inside my membership, Woman Mastery HQ, we actually build out your entire sales ecosystem so your business is set up for success and profit, not just hoping that $10,000 is going to come. And then the last pillar that I want to talk to you about is often what a lot of people miss. It is your subconscious programming. Your current identity, the way that you perceive yourself, the way that you see yourself in the world, the way that you see yourself online, the way that you see yourself as a brand founder, a business owner, a service provider, an online educator is creating your income ceiling. To simplify that even more, your identity creates your income ceiling. It normalizes what you're expected to make. You can sit here and have a conversation with me and tell me how much you want to make $10,000 months. You can tell me that you feel worthy of $10,000 months. You can tell me that $10,000 months is the absolute dream on your vision board. But just because you have a dream on your vision board, just because you can clearly see in your mind the $10,000 in your bank account, does not mean that your subconscious identity believes the same thing. Your subconscious is wired for safety, not success. Success feels uncertain, and uncertainty isn't safe. So anything that your subconscious identity, which is made up of 2 layers, your belief system, what you believe about the world, and number 2, your nervous system, your capacity to tolerate dysregulation, aka change, are going to determine what feels unsafe, which means your subconscious identity determines the way you respond, your motives, your behaviors, which is going to create your results in the 3D reality. This is why sometimes you can undercharge when you know your worth, ghost your own launch when you feel like things aren't working out. And this is one that I've seen time and time again. Burn out, get sick, have to go hermit mode because of health issues the moment that things start working out. This is your subconscious identity protecting you from change. Because even though change to you consciously means success, means $10,000 months, to your nervous system, to your subconscious belief system, it means uncertainty. And your subconscious doesn't like uncertainty. For this pillar, I'm going to give you 2 simple goals that I want you to go away and work on. Number 1, audit your belief system. I want you to really check in and ask yourself, question yourself, why do I believe XYZ? Why do I believe it's hard to make $10,000? Why do I believe that everyone else has it easier? Why do I believe that the algorithm hates me? Question each belief. Figure out where it has come from and learn to rewire that belief. This can be done in multiple ways: EFT tapping, subliminal audios, meditation, visualization. But your first goal is to understand exactly what you believe, why you believe it, and work on rewiring it if it is not backing up your goal of $10,000 months. And then your second goal with understanding your subconscious identity is to expand your nervous system capacity for more. The analogy I always give my clients is understanding that your nervous system is like a balloon. When you blow up a balloon, what starts to happen? You get to the point where it's about to pop. So when you get to that point where it's about to pop, what do? You stop blowing up the balloon, you tie it up, and then you flick it away. That is exactly what is happening to your nervous system, because the moment the balloon's about to pop, what do we start to think? Oh, I need to stop because I don't want this to blow up in my face. I don't want to feel pain. And that is exactly what is happening to your nervous system when you are stretching and trying to normalize a different baseline of money, results, success. It gets to the point, maybe you keep hitting 8K months over and over and over again, no matter what you're doing. It's because anytime you tip over that 8K, you haven't normalized your capacity to expand to 10K. And so the moment, it's like the balloon, the moment you get to 8K, it's about to pop. And so your nervous system, you sabotage, you get sick, you ghost, something comes up where you have to stop your momentum and you can't quite click over to $10,000. So how do we train our nervous system to be okay with that expansion and teach it quite literally that it's not a threat to your survival, that this is safe? A couple of things. Again, EFT tapping. One thing that I have been doing a lot this year is quite literally sitting down in a quiet space, putting on subliminal or a abundance frequency in the background, hand on my chest, hand on my stomach, and speaking to my nervous system, saying it's safe to expand anytime that I feel that I'm expanding. So maybe that's when you post, maybe that's when you respond to a sales conversation in the DM, maybe it's before you make a polarizing piece of content, maybe it's before you send a contract. Start to look where your body starts to constrict and you start playing into the doubt. I know that it seems really, really simple to sit with your hand on heart and hand on your stomach and just breathe and speak to your nervous system, but often the simple things is what most people skip, and then they wonder why they're not getting results because they're trying to look for this answer that doesn't exist. You need to realize when your body starts to constrict. You need to realize when your nervous system is getting to the point where it is going to technically protect you and keep you back to what's normal, because that's safe. Remember, your subconscious identity sees the change, sees hitting $10,000 months as a threat. It is doing its job by protecting you and trying to avoid that. I want you to think of capacity training exactly like strength training. If you were beginning deadlifting for the first time, you're not going to load up 200 kilos on the barbell, are you? You might start with 10 on each side, 20, and then eventually you can put 30 each side, 60, and then again you might be able to put 50 and 50, but that takes time. That is expanding your capacity to lift your weights. So think of it as strength training. It's not going to happen in one breath session. It's not going to happen in one visualization. It's not going to happen in one EFT tapping, but it will happen if you put in that work. Now, I created this video because I want to teach you that scaling to $10,000 months isn't a trend. It isn't hoping to go viral. It isn't about working harder. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, scaling to $10,000 months is actually simple but boring. But lean into the boringness. It doesn't mean your work is boring, but it means the process seems so simple that we often don't believe it gets to be that simple. Your job is to create a business that not only makes an impact in the world, but is profitable and most importantly, sustainable. Why scale to 10, 30, 50, 100K months if it's not sustainable for you as a person and you as a business owner? And this is exactly what I teach you inside of Woman Mastery HQ membership. It's not a course. It's not another program. It's not another few trainings that you consume and that you forget about. This is the exact step-by-step system for brand founders, online educators, and service providers to double their income in 12 months, but have the identity that backs up that income. I teach you how to, yes, hit that level, but how do you stay there? You not only get live coaching and a vault of trainings, you also get personalized feedback with business mastermind calls and subconscious mastery coaching. So you get to get personalized feedback on both ends of the spectrum. And of course, the best part, the community of ambitious, high-achieving women that are going through exactly what you're going through. It's not another group that you would join on Facebook and it's annoying and not full of value. It's actually a community that is curated to help you and for you to network in. All of the details to join Woman Mastery HQ are in the first link in the description box. Now, after you've signed up for that, I will meet you in my next video. How I use ChatGPT to 10x my money, my success, and my productivity. See you in the next video.